Welcome to Freddie's Huge Ask Podcast. Huge lives and the stories behind them.
3, 2, 1.
And now here's your host, Freddie Cruz.
Can we trust AI? That may be one of the most important and underrated questions of our time. At least I think so. And it's also the title of a book by world-renowned professor and inventor, Dr. Rama Chellapa. And he joins the show right now. Doctor, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Cruz. I'm happy to be on your show.
I got the book and immediately started asking everybody in my circle, and especially over Thanksgiving holiday, hey, can we trust AI? What do you think? Because I'm like a little indifferent to it. And so some of the answers I got from my personal circle are, they range from no to I don't even trust humans. So why are they right? Why are they wrong? Or why are they both right and wrong from your view?
Yeah. Yep. My response would be a qualified yes. If somebody asks me, can we trust AI? I say a qualified yes. Like most technologies, there are the good and bad. And I like to say, the bad thing comes when humans use the technology for bad purposes. The technology by itself, right? It's there. AI can be used for good, as we see in many applications in healthcare, in autonomous driving, and potentially it could be useful for managing disaster relief and so on, as you will see in chapter 5 of my book. An APL researcher talks about how he was able to use AI for managing disasters in Puerto Rico. And Professor Eric Rino at UC Irvine talks about how it can potentially help climate change related issues and so forth. There are all these good applications, and oftentimes people hear what they hear on various shows, how AI is going to take care of our lives and so on. The movies, the Hollywood movies, as I like to say, you know, if you go to, movies like Terminator, they're not my favorite movies, but I can see people are excited seeing, Terminator, iRobot. I saw iRobot. It was a little bit on the extreme, but, at least a robot's running around and doing stuff. So I think that creates some kind of an impression that this technology is out to get us. I don't think so. The technology can be put to good use, and unfortunately, humans may use it for some bad applications, but technologies know how to mitigate those abuses. For example, just like people like to hack your cell phone and your computers, they may like to hack AI systems, right? But then we can watch for it. We can provide resilience to AI systems. This is called adversarial attacks.
Yeah.
We can actually tell the AI, don't just work with the good data. Sometimes you have to also should learn from bad data, poison data, we call it, So that way the AI gets resilient. So when people attack it, it doesn't fall apart. It's like, telling children, don't take candy from strangers. Why do we say that? We are providing some resilience. But the child will take candy from parents, from uncles, from aunts, right, whom they trust in a circle. But we don't tell them don't take candies at all. We just say don't take candies from strangers. So we are providing resilience to the child. Likewise, we can tell AI, some things like this are happening, be careful. So we provide resilience. So people say they have this fear about AI. I think we should be cautious about any technology. Okay, all technologies lend themselves, not all, maybe some, most, whatever, depending on where we are, to bad uses. So we have to be careful. We have to be cautious. That's why I say, can we trust AI? Qualified? Yes, it will do good for most part, but you have to watch it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to piggyback on something you referenced with the metaphor with children, because in the book you write about AI being in its toddler phase, and you describing all these things that it can do, not just in the past couple of minutes, but in the book with precision detail. That's a very intelligent toddler. And so what you talk about what you talk about is, the fear that society has with regards to AI, the iRobots of the world, the RoboCops of the world, the Terminators of the world, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. This is the rebellious teenage phase. So what does the rebellious teenage phase look like, seeing as how you've been a part of this AI world for a few
Yeah,
decades?
I think I'm going to change it a little bit. It's a rebellious teen, but it has been around for 55 years.
Yeah.
AI, so I say if AI were a human being, it is ready to collect Social Security and be on Medicare.
Okay.
Because 1956, there was this nice
Yeah.
workshop at Dartmouth in the summer, and some of our best minds got together and then figured out, what is this field is going to be, and so on. So
Hmm.
from the 60s onwards, people were designing programs to play chess and checkers and so forth. In the early days, there was even a system known as Mycin. It was not deployed, that would build a rule-based system for, a medicine application and so on, infection in blood and so forth. So, and then it kind of was kind of there, and it had some bad rap because, with AI, it's so imaginative. Everybody wants to think of big things, and if it doesn't deliver, they kind of sour on it. That's what I call AI imagination and reality. I actually did a show like that for Hopkins with Mr. Gary Whitta, who co-wrote the script for, Rogue, the Star Wars story. So I said, Gary, you are the imagination guy. You can just imagine a lot of things, and I'm a reality guy because I got to build those things. So
Yeah.
there's always going to be this gap. My aspiration is to build everything you imagine. And
Uh-huh.
Gary said, Rama, I imagine because I know what you can do now, and therefore I can build on it. Right. So this is how it plays. So anyway, I think AI is a pretty established field. It was kind of in a low burner for a while. Since 2012, our computers have become so powerful. We have a lot of data. We always had data, but we didn't mine them as effectively as we could. Now we are able to do that. So it looks like it's a very rebellious teen. So you can view it as somebody who went to sleep for a while and then got up and then very energetic, and that's kind of where AI is right now. It's very energetic, and everybody has lots of people like me. We are kind of happy it's back in the show or back on the stage, and but
Hmm.
in a better form, because we see good applications of AI, recommender systems, for example, Alexa, Siri, self-driving cars, and some early applications in medicine and so on. So I think we should make AI work for us, and if it is not behaving well, we should improve it, we should fix it.
Yeah, and to your point, there seems to be a sort of hockey stick type growth to AI, in which most of humanity has never gotten to experience it for better or worse. I tend to think for worse because, I mean, we've got, you reference Alexa and Google, and I mean, let's not forget the medicines, and which is definitely something I want to talk about, health wise. But decades later, after World War II, we get like this little blip of growth. We got the room size computers, right? And then all of a sudden, poof, we're off to the races. And someone like me who was horrible at science, we got the smartphone. You're holding if you're listening to the podcast, Dr. Rama's holding a smartphone. And these gadgets are stronger than anything President Reagan could have ever used to win the Cold War. So my question to you would be, how much of this accelerated growth do you think plays into, and I go back to the hysteria. I think you and I
Yeah.
share more optimism than pessimism, but how much of this rapid growth do you think plays into some of the hysteria?
Yeah, I think what separates a machine, an AI machine, and humans, common sense reasoning.
Yeah.
We have struggled quite a bit, even in computer vision, how to incorporate common sense reasoning when a video is given. Are we just saying, oh, there is a car, there is a person, there is a tree, there is this, or are we able to make a story out of that, right? So common sense reasoning is very important. Logical reasoning is very important. So I think everybody talks about whether there is a general intelligence or a general AI, would happen. Like I told Gary, that's a goal. You know, as we work on these things, researchers, scientists, and technologists, we don't build something for tomorrow. We don't think something, it's not like stock market. Oh, tomorrow how much is going to be? No, we are thinking about a trajectory that'll, like 20 years from now, right? And so when you put that big goal, then as you approach it, you will see lots of benefits.
Mhm.
And that's what I like to tell people. Everybody wants fully automated car. I don't. I like to drive, but I like all the safety features. The little red triangle you see in your side view mirror when there is a
Yes.
car to your left, right, or my car will give me a beep if it thinks I'm going to hit the car in front of me. And when I reverse, nice cameras come and people go across, it shows me. And
Love
in
those
fact,
reverse cameras, by the way. Yes.
exactly, such high quality. I'll tell you, my wife has a Lexus RX which we bought in 2009. In the rear view mirror, a small black and white. Oh, we were excited. Oh, we can see that. And now I'm seeing like a movie in a current car.
Yeah.
Just a few years, right?
Yeah.
So those are all great things to have. They reduce accidents because especially these days everybody's texting when they're texting with the left hand and they're driving with the right hand. I said, oh my God, right? So it's good to have these safety features.
Hmm.
It will decrease the number of accidents. It will decrease the number of deaths that we have on our highways and so on. So fully automated car, yes, it's a great goal. But even if we get 80%, 90% of that, it's fine. In fact, what I worry, when you want to go from 90% to 100%, it's going to be a lot more expensive, maybe, because it has to worry about every possible thing that can
Hmm.
happen, right? So just to give a thought experiment, let's assume Mr. Cruz wants a totally automated car. Rama says,
I
"No,
do, by the way.
yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay, I think Elon Musk will text you and say, hey, when should I send you my car? Anyway,
Yeah.
so I have a nice car with all the safety features, maybe not fully automated. Let's assume we are both on the freeway. We're both driving at 70 miles an hour. So your car is like AI because it's fully automated. My car is like a human because I'm still controlling it. So AI human interaction. How we will both figure out how to drive safely at 70 miles an hour on a freeway. Just imagine there are lots of Freddy Cruises, there's a lot of Chalapas. You have
Hmm.
so many AI and non AI things on the freeway. That's an interesting thing to think about, right? So,
Yeah.
all I'm saying is there's always going to be some people who may not like the fully automated. So, you have to worry about all of these interactions, how it will work. So fully automated thing is a good goal to have, but to get there, we have to do lots of good things, which will still be useful.
You talk about, and this is going back to your reference of the mass collection of data
Yeah,
that we collectively are consuming in large
yeah,
amounts, and
yeah,
zettabyte is something I never even heard of until I read your book. And and terabyte, I'm like, wow. I'm here. I'll even, I know this is a podcast, so people are listening, but I'm holding this thing right here that's got like a terabyte of
yeah,
storage space, and I'm like,
yes,
wait a minute, that's a thing? It's like all these different gigabytes. Wow,
yeah, yeah,
cool. I'm set. I'm barely using 10 gigs on this thing, and so it's like infinite storage. But what why do we need zettabytes? Where does this data go besides maybe the NSA database in Utah? But what are we doing? Like, is it going to be is it, I guess, is there such thing as data waste?
yeah. No, no, definitely. Great question. How much data can we store, right?
Yeah.
Now, where the zettabyte data could come? Climate monitoring, satellite
Mm,
images. We're
okay.
constantly looking at them, right? And those are very high resolution images. Other application, traffic cameras. right? If I want to have a smart transportation system, if I don't want you to wait at a signal more than you need to, sometimes you wait, there's just red there and nothing else is happening, and you're wondering when is this thing going to become a green,
Yeah.
right? They're all kind of pre-programmed, but I would like that to be more real time. And traffic cameras, they collect data all the time, right? And we work with some of the data to give some indication about how many cars are waiting at a traffic signal and those kinds of analytics. So but definitely in weather related problems and climate related problems, there's so much data that's collected by satellites and other means. So but then what we do is, you don't have to keep all of that. There is something we call as incremental learning. We just learn and then we throw away the data. Once we learn, we don't have to keep all of it. So as new data comes, we modify our decision making processes and our inference mechanisms and so on. So that is how you handle that. You don't do in a batch mode, like you every time you have to have the entire data. Hopefully the models, the AI systems you have has learned enough, and then you can just make it better and fine tune it and things like that as new data comes in.
What's the next step after a terabyte? Is it a zettabyte?
When I was just a couple of decades ago, we will have these diskettes. You have seen that, right?
Oh, yes.
1 megabyte. And now if you want to see it, you have to go to the museum. And actually, none of the laptops these days will even accept that. There's no place for that. They don't even have CDs anymore. Before, remember, we went through that, right? We had a
Yeah.
diskette, and then we had CD-ROM, DVDs, and so we can store a lot more, and they're not there. Now we have USBs, right? They keep tons of data. So yeah, technology is getting better for us to store more and more data. There's some data that you don't want to throw at all, potentially. I don't know what, there are applications like that. So people may like to keep it. But in the university environment, we are somewhat resource constrained. So, we do big data related things, but companies like Amazon, Google, and Facebook, they can process zettabytes, or maybe there is something after that. I don't know, zettabytes or something like
Yeah.
that. Who knows? Yeah. Data is coming. Data deluge is being there. Now we are able to mine it, process it. That's the only difference. The computers are there.
How likely is it that a consumer would be able to have a smartphone in the future with a zettabyte of storage?
Well, one thing I learned, Mr. Cruz, I never predict what happens in technology. I'll tell you why. Before 2012, computer vision researchers, we were having a very peaceful time. We were just developing things and we're quite happy. And 2012, the data-driven methodology showed up. It has completely turned our world upside down.
Huh.
90% of the research we do now is based on so-called deep learning, the data-driven methods. I tell you, if you had asked me in summer of 2012, Rama, is this going to happen? I said, gee, I don't think so. So that, most of us were kind of blindsided by that. We didn't expect that to happen. So I'm always hesitant to, predict, what will happen. But I think we are the progress. Okay, these days, this is what I like to call. These days, it seems to be the progress is on exponential scale. Before it was kind of linear for up to certain time. Now everything is like, if you just take from diskette to where we are right now, it's amazing. If you take at the computer processing speed, I started working with IBM 1620 in the mid 70s. Now my cell phone has much more powerful computing here, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, this is this what called exponential is what I call it, like the rate at which we are going. But there are some other constraints, though. I mean, in computing at least, there is a famous Moore's law and so forth. With consequences, how fast can these things ever get? But what will happen is we'll all put them as a cluster, and then we'll make a big thing out of that, right? Storage systems can be made very, very big by putting a lot of little storage devices and make them talk to each other. Yeah, so that's possible.
I want to shift the conversation, if you don't mind, Dr. Rama, if we could talk about the ability to predict one's death using AI and its ramifications on healthcare and lifespan and longevity and all the things.
Oh, yeah. I think we discussed that in chapter two. There are a couple of places like Stanford and UPenn. They're actually, talking about how they're using it. And I think you may have seen their impressions on how this works. I think, if you say AI is predicting death, that will make people somewhat uncomfortable. I think
Yes.
doctors kind of do that. People who are taking care of people in hospice and people hospitals, they kind of know. Maybe there is just a few days left or something like that. They'll tell you, please, inform all your relatives and all that stuff. So this has been going on in medicine for decades, right? So what AI is doing is it's just maybe just fine tuning that based on the data it has, and it which will enable the doctor to have some confidence that in addition to his or her diagnosis of how things are, the AI algorithm is saying something, as a way to confirm the opinion, and then it allows them to have the conversations they have to have, right? So I wouldn't call it AI, predicting death or anything like that. I would call it is something very similar to what doctors in those specialities they take care of people with terminal illnesses and so on. They have a based on their experience, they kind of know that the person may have just a week or maybe a few days or something like that, and they start having conversation in terms of how that can be a peaceful thing and so on for the family and for everybody, right? So I think AI is just replicating that by using data. That's all. So I think it's not different from what goes on. I think AI will be more like a software assistant, physician assistant, right? When you go and see a specialist, there is a physical physician assistant, PAs who come and kind of do the early work and set the things up when the doctor comes and so forth. So AI is more like a software physician assistant. So, that's all it does.
Yeah, and this is in reference to end of life and for those who are terminally ill. But I had earlier in the season, uh, Dr. Roizen, who wrote a book about longevity and the potential for humans to start living upwards of 120 and 130 years. And reading some of your book really reminded me a lot of
Yeah.
his book,
Yes.
in that the technology, whether we like it or not, and again, this is why I'm sort of indifferent, leaning toward optimistic, because I'm obsessed with longevity, because I don't want to die, obviously. But all of this to say, uh, how do you see AI playing a role in helping somebody like me who's middle age, healthy ish, wanting to be healthier by the time he's in his mid 50s so that he can live to be more than 100 years old?
Yes, definitely. We have a project at Hopkins that I'm involved with two world-renowned geriatric physicians. It's the AI and Technology Collaboratory for Healthy Aging. It's interested in monitoring dementia and Alzheimer's and detecting them, and even maybe provide alerts if somebody has a tendency to fall and things like that. And because a lot of seniors want to spend their time in their home and not go to nursing home. Now, what AI can do for you, it'll watch what you eat, and it'll figure out, are you exercising enough and are you sleeping well? And it may assess your mood, happiness, and see if you are kind of a happy person. Based on my interactions with you, it looks like you are a very happy person. And I'm a very happy person. I always say I like to have Mr. Rogers' neighborhood around me all the time, be pleasant and soft spoken and joking and not taking things too seriously, but still be very effective. I mean, sometimes people think you have to be kind of, mean and hard edged to make progress. No, I don't think so. I mean, you can be just calm, nice, and smiling, and, every day of course, everyday challenges are there, ups and downs, but you can kind of keep it on an even keel. So that's what AI will do, and AI will see. if you're on your couch for longer than some time, it'll maybe, hey, come on, get up and walk around. I mean, my wife does it to me all the time. She looks like an AI agent for me. She watches what I eat,
It's like
and
iRobot in your home, Dr.
yeah,
Chillapa.
very, very efficient, effective one. Now that iRobot, I'm a little concerned about because, as I like to joke, my wife, even before I think, she seems to know what I'm thinking, right? So that's dangerous. I've been married 39 years, so that's what happens. But what I'm thinking is AI can be there like your friend. It can
Mhm.
kind of be there and not be intrusive, but kind of politely, and it will keep everything private. See, the whole idea of personalized medicine is possible because we can keep all your data very safely in one place. It's only accessible to your AI. So personalized healthcare, personalized medicine, it's a personalized AI. And once in a while it may say, Mr. Cruz likes to have a donut, once a week, so it's okay, it's all right. So it won't, go crazy if you do that, right? It gets used to what your lifestyle is and so on, and it keeps track of you. It keeps track of your health records, medical records, and so forth. So it is possible we can eventually design a system like that that will make sure you live beyond 120. So
Yeah.
we all bankrupt the social security system or something like that.
And some of what you talk about reminds me of the Apple Watch, and I've
Yes.
got one of those, and it tells me, up, Freddie, it's time to stand. My username on my watch is Dad, so it says, Dad, time to stand. You've been sitting for an hour, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it's crazy, Doctor, how I can be in traffic, and I'm in Houston where people don't really know how to drive well. But it senses when I get when the blood's boiling, and it says, Dad, you might want to breathe a little bit. I'm like, hey, are you judging me? Don't
Well,
judge me.
yes. I have a lot of friends in Houston, especially at University of Houston and Rice, so I'm not going to comment on their driving skills.
I'm sure they drive fantastic.
Yeah, they do, they do. So yeah, I think those are useful because all you need is a nudging. For
Yeah.
example, I saw a thing that diabetes patients, right? All they need nudge is that you had this amount of food yesterday, your blood sugar is kind of like this. Maybe today you want to have oatmeal or something. Most people would say, yeah, I think that's that. Nobody will say, oh yeah, no, 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 I'm going to have another half a dozen donuts. No, people don't do that. I mean, right? So a gentle suggestion like that is what people need, and especially if there are elderly people, they forget to take their medication sometimes, or they overtake it. Sometimes it creates issues, so that the AI system can watch, AI system can provide some companionship. There's a company I know, they build robots that will go to people with late stage dementia nursing homes, and take an iPad and then play familiar music to them, or bring in conversations with families, and that just brightens their life just for that moment, because otherwise they're kind of not sure where they are and so forth. Or it can do facial expression analysis to see if they're agitated, and so forth and so forth, help them. So those are things that are possible. So I think hopefully we can build an AI system, Mr. Cruz, that will help you to live beyond 120 years.
Yeah, and I love what you said about medication and our
Mm.
older relatives, and hey, even our younger relatives. For people who, let's say, you've got a 40 something cancer patient who lives by himself or by herself,
Yeah.
and they don't, maybe they live in New York and the rest of the family is in Texas,
Yes.
and they need that nudge to take
Yeah.
their medicine and make sure that they're taking everything that they need to be taking when they should be taking it, as often as they should be taking it, because they're alone. And I think that's
Yeah.
a very promising thing, and much better than the little plastic box with the MFSTTF thing. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, definitely. And, so reminding elderly, so that's why I say AI can improve the quality of life.
Yeah.
It definitely can do that.
Absolutely. I want to be very respectful of your time. We got a few more minutes here, Dr.
Sure.
Chillapa. Would love to wrap up with a lightning round, beginning with the most realistic AI movie or book you have ever seen or read?
Most realistic AI movie. I have to say, when I saw first Star Wars movies, they look like AI. Now when I see them, they look awfully slow. So, yeah, I think Rogue One I liked. I liked iRobot, but these days we are not seeing too many of the AI-ish type of movies. I think hopefully they'll come back again. Yeah, I think the last one I can think of is iRobot, and that was pretty good actually. The robots were winking their eyes and this and that. Yeah, and being very malicious, planning.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's the last movie I can think of. I don't go to that many movies, so that's another issue. Yeah,
Why does AI give you hope for the future?
because as most technologies go, AI can contribute in many disciplines. Wherever there is data, there can be AI. And data is everywhere, so it will make things better, it will make more informed decisions, quicker decisions, and so on, but it will still be of assistance to us.
What's one area of AI that keeps people like you up at night?
Mhm. Its ability to produce misinformation and so on. We do have some research programs to address that, but still they're ahead. Misinformation, the rate at which it can be produced is faster than the rate at which we can detect and mitigate. So that's a cat and mouse game. But yeah, definitely, I worry about that.
What's a byproduct of artificial intelligence that you'd like to send back into the dustbin of forgotten history? This was a terrible idea. Please send it back.
Rule-based systems. We did that in the 70s and so on. They seem to work well in games and checkers and so forth, but not in real application. They were seen as brittle and so forth. So I think rule-based systems are not that favored anymore. So we have better ways to do it. So that is one thing, but that's how it started in the 70s. There's a system called Mycin that looked at 400 some 60 odd rules for an AI to figure out something about blood infection and so on, but was not really deployed in any way, I think. So yeah, if I have to drop something, send it back, rule-based systems. There's also a related one called expert systems. That also is not very much, but I like all of them. It's like old toys. A child never throws his or her toys. All toys are good. Some child plays more, but if you ask a child, "Can I take that thing away?" Oh no, it may be a toy from year two, but yes, that's how I see it. I like all toys.
Kind of like Atari 2600. I mean, video games nowadays are incredible.
Yes.
But come on, what you and I wouldn't give to just play combat once? Just one more time?
Right, exactly. It's nostalgia. Yeah.
Yeah. 200 years after you die, someone comes across your book, Can We Trust AI? What do you think and or hope they would say?
By then, I hope AI would be a fully trustworthy thing, fully integrated into our lives. So that question would not be even there, hopefully.
I'm a fan of that answer. I'm a fan of that answer in like 1 week, not 200 years. Oh gosh. All right. So Dr. Rama Chellapa is author of the book, Can We Trust AI? Y'all get it and read it. In fact, they were kind enough to give me a coupon code from the press. Use the code HAI30. So HAI30 for 30% off of your copy. Can We Trust AI when you order directly from Hopkins Press. I've got the link up in the show notes. Dr. Chellapa, it's been a pleasure talking to you, sir.
The pleasure is all mine. Thank you, Mr. Cruz, and have a great day.
Thank you for listening to Freddie's Huge Ask podcast.